Let's talk about the saddle hunting stuff that I'm using this year, why I'm using those pieces, and I'm gonna answer some what I see commonly asked questions about the different pieces that I'm using. Now, a couple things to know right off the bat. The whole purpose of this video is to hopefully help you learn about these products if you don't have any firsthand experience and make a decision on whether they are for you or they're not for you. Also, I have no affiliation with any of these product companies. And you know, honestly, I wish I did because they're great companies and they're products that I truly believe in and use, but at this point, I don't. And if I ever do in the future, I'll make sure to disclose that to you. So the first thing I want to cover is my climbing and descent method. Now, these are kind of hand in hand, but a little different, so I'm going to cover them semi-separately in this section here. The first thing we're going to talk about is my one sticking method. Now, if you're not familiar with one sticking, it's basically utilizing one stick and aiders in this case, to get as high in the tree as you could possibly want. And if you are familiar with one sticking but you're not sure, it looks pretty daunting. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm 220 pounds, I'm 5'10", I am not in the best of shape. I can do this. A lot of it is technique, so taking the time to learn to properly do it is huge. And there are a lot of great videos out there about it. I'm going to be dropping a how to one stick video here before too long as well. It's just a nice system. I really like it. I like the one stick. Again, being able to get up as high as you want or as low as you need to is great. Limbs don't matter. It's, to me, the ultimate hunting climbing method. Now, the stick itself, I custom built on Eastern Woods Outdoors, and I'll drop a link in the description if you want to go check this out yourself. Total price of the stick, and these aren't cheap, is probably just shy of $400. If I remember right, it's like $393 or something shipped to my door. This particular stick has the Eastern Woods Outdoors UP Ultimate Platform. I dig this platform a lot. It's not huge, but it's plenty of space, especially in a saddle setup. It's got an angled front and a flat top, so you can stand flat to shoot if you need to. I typically don't, though. I'm more of a leaner. It's got a 15-inch stick, double step down below. It's got the Ultimate Aider on it, and this is a 3-step. 1, 2, 3. It's a 3-step Ultimate Aider with an Ultimate Aider roll pouch. Standard on all these sticks is the cable pull handle, the buried am steel, and the cleat. Now again, not cheap. This is the blacked out version also, and I've wrapped it in some camo kind of silencing cloth. But despite being not cheap, the advantage is it's everything you need right here in this package that weighs whatever number you're seeing on the screen right at this moment, because I haven't weighed it yet. So this is my ascent method up the tree, and you can descend in a one stick climbing method as well. I am not doing that. To me, it's not very safe. It makes me nervous. It looks like a lot of hard work. To be honest, it's not as fun as the descent method I use. This is the descent method I use. I rappel down the tree. This is kind of a really poor analogy, but in those crazy army and SWAT movies where they're jumping down the building, it's hi, hi, hi. That's basically what I do down a tree, and I'm going to tell you right now, every time I do it down the tree, I totally say that in my mind. I have to make those noises, man. It's just, I think it's necessary. So this is a 40-foot of rope, and this is a static rope, no stretch. I don't remember what type of rope this is off the top of my head, so we'll put it right there for you. Now on one end of this rope, I have a oval, I don't know if it's technically called a carabiner or not. I don't think so. Anyways, I'll get up close here so you can see it. It's an oval, we'll call it a locking carabiner. And the reason I have this is because it takes side pressure really well. When I utilize this to rappel, I also utilize this as my tether to the tree. I want something that takes side pressure well. A gated carabiner, like what you see here, generally they're not rated for side pressure, whereas something like this is. And at the end of the day, I'm all about safety. That's what matters the absolute most to me. Now on this end, I have a Mad Rock. This is the Safeguard. There's two of them, and I couldn't remember which one, but it says Safeguard right there. So it's a Mad Rock Safeguard. It is a rappelling device. I've got a carabiner hooked up to it. Perfectly safe. I've used this again for the last 2 years. No problems whatsoever, as long as I took the time to learn how to do it right. Also, you'll see down here at the bottom of this, I have a little bit of fast flight sewn in. And the reason I have that is I use this as a pull-up rope also. So this thing does a ton of different stuff for me. So my saddle selection for this year is Tethered's newest offering. It's called the Lockdown. Now I did some coverage on this at ATA and got to spend some time in it and play with it and talk to the guys at Tethered about it, particularly Carl, the lead designer at Tethered. And I told them at ATA I will own one, and here I am, and I do not regret it. I think this is probably my favorite saddle. No. I know this is my favorite saddle that I have ever sat in up to this point. There are three main things about this saddle that I really like that make me think it's worth the investment, and it is an investment. You know, the regular size is $429.99, the extra large is $449.99, so they're not cheap, but man, they are awesome. So let me go over those three things real quick. The first thing is this right here. Call them what you want. I think they call it a yoke system. I call them my old man suspenders. They kick ass. Having something that helps me carry the weight of my saddle, because I stuff my saddle full of stuff, is awesome. It keeps it up around my waist when I'm walking in. I don't have to worry about it sagging down. I'm not constantly pulling it back up because I need to do some more squats because I don't have a butt. That's besides the point. To me, this thing right here kicks ass. Now I will say Tethered sells these separate. You can buy this and add this to your Phantom or, you know, any of the Tethered saddles, I believe. Yeah, I'm not sure. You'll have to check me on that. But you can add it to another saddle to get this comfortability. But this is not solely what makes this great. The next thing for me is in the bridge. Now I had a Phantom before this. I'm very familiar with their Comfort Lock channel system. And it was good. The problem is if you gave it any slack, that's the best term for it. Like if you gave any slack, you know, because you were adjusting, it could fall out of those comfort channels. Well, the way Tethered fixed that is they have now girth hitched, and that's going to be hard to see, but they have girth hitched the bridge in their comfort channels. So not only does that lock it in place and leave it where it's supposed to be when there's slack on your bridge, but it allows you more adjustability, because now not only can you put it in between those comfort channels, you can lock it on either side. So before you had to lock in between the balls, yeah, I'm so immature. Anyways, you had to lock it in between the balls and the comfort channel. Now you can lock it on either side, so you've got that much more infinite adjustability depending on the tree you're in or your personal comfort settings. And the last thing is on the back of the saddle. Now normally I charge for stuff like this, but I'm gonna give it to you guys for free. That was a joke. On the back of the saddle, there's two handles and there's a pleat system. You pull that pleat system down and settle into your saddle. Let me tell you right now, it's freaking comfortable. I got to play with it at ATA. Matter of fact, they had to kick me out of it at ATA because it was so freaking comfortable. I was very impressed. Now the cool thing about that pleat system is it utilizes elastic bands so that when you're not using it, it sucks back up and keeps everything uniform and tight. So you don't have to worry about it catching on stuff. You don't have to worry about it being like a saggy diaper. It keeps everything tight while you're walking in, keeps everything tied up in the tree if you prefer not to have it pleated. It's a really good system. It's one of those little simple things that kind of make your overall quality of life better. That's why I really like the Lockdown. There's some other features going on here that aren't as important to me, like these big pouches are nice. I'll say that too. The big pouches are sewn in, they're permanent, you can't take them off and replace them. But man, they store a lot of crap. And one thing I hear a lot is people talking about, you know, it's big, it's bulky, it's huge, it's not streamlined. One guy went as far on one of my YouTube videos to say we're gonna eventually need to hire a guy with a 2,000-pound winch to haul stuff up in a tree. That's bullshit. People are being way dramatic and have probably never had their hands on one. This thing is extremely streamlined. Extremely streamlined. My old Phantom with the saddle pouches stuck out way further than this because they were round and all the capacity was down and out. This, all the capacity is back. So everything stays tight. It stays sucked in and it rides well. This is the most streamlined saddle I've ever owned. With all that said, let's talk about what I keep in my saddle setup and how I set my saddle up. So this is all personal preference. You can set yours up the way you want. This is just what's always worked for me. I've got a system and I don't want to change my system. So on the left side, I have my rope for descending. This also acts as my tether to the tree. It's got the carabiner system attached with the safeguard. This gets me up, or this gets me down the tree and keeps me in the tree. Also on this left side, in the zipper pouch on the front here, like I said, there's a ton of room in these things. I've got my pull down rope. That's like 40 foot of fast flight. I'm gonna try something new for pull down this year that was recommended by Carl at Tethered, but I'm gonna keep this just in case until I get comfortable with the other. So that's everything in my left pouch. Everything that gets me up in the tree, gets me down out of the tree, it's here. With the exception of my lineman belt, which you'll find in my right pouch. And the reason you're finding my lineman in the right pouch is because I keep it girth hitched to my lineman loop on the right side of my saddle. It's your basic lineman. I don't use mechanical ascenders on my lineman belt. I honestly don't remember what it's called, but it works like a mechanical extender, it's just safer. Not really the point of the video. My lineman belt. And I keep my recliner from Tethered for those all-day sits, for the little extra comfort. These things kick ass, and they have a new one called the MVP that I have no experience with. I'm assuming it's more comfortable, but I love this. I've also seen guys use camera straps and make those into recliners if that's something you're interested in doing DIY. This is a Doyle's gear hoist. This is what I'm going to try to use as a pull-down rope per recommendation from Carl at Tethered. I don't see any reason why it couldn't work. I'm interested, and worst case scenario, I can just use it to pull up my gear. Another cool feature, and again, it didn't really matter to me, but there's a grommet down here for your pull-up hoist. So that just comes out, it stays stored in there, out of the way. It's kind of sweet. And the last thing I have in my right pouch right now is my bow hanger and pack hanger. This is a setup from Genesis 3D Printing. It's AM steel, daisy chained AM steel. This is the bow hanger itself. Just hangs into your AM steel, and it works great. I've used this a ton. I like it a lot. This bow hanger also works with like HYS hauler straps, and basically any kind of strap system you'll use, you can use this bow hanger. Just keep a regular carabiner on the other side for my pack, and it's all super lightweight, packs down nice, easy to get to, easy to use, and that stays on my right side. Now, one extra thing I'm going to add in here that I don't have in here is a pocket knife or a knife of some kind, just to have it on me. I always feel better having an extra on me that's not in my pack, and it's easily accessible. So that's everything I keep in my right pouch and my left pouch and keep on my saddle. And depending on the time of year, some things change. Like I'll keep rattling bags sometimes in my saddle. Sometimes I'll keep a like scent wick system. Sometimes I'll keep a call in there. You know, so there's multiple things that go in here. Like I said, I kind of use this as almost a fanny pack system, and that's why I really like these straps. So that is my system for this year. You know, not cheap system. Probably, we'll just say $1,000 worth of stuff. I fully understand that that's a big commitment, and a lot of people can't spend that. If you can, this is a great system. I highly recommend checking it out. If you can't, that's fine. There's a ton of other great systems out there that don't cost this much. I've used a ton. I've liked a ton. To me, this is just about as good as it can get until somebody else comes out with something that's just mind-blowingly different. As always, guys, I appreciate you watching, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.